So this video is all about survey design and how we're going to develop a survey in order to get accurate results for our investigation, for our investigative journalism. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to not only explain why good survey design is important, but you should also be able to identify the 4 steps in creating an accurate survey. And you're going to go ahead and develop a research question for survey inquiry, a question that can be answered through the course of a well-designed survey. Let's get started. So why is good survey design important? In 1992, there was a survey that was conducted that seemed to show that 1/3 of Americans were open to the idea that the Holocaust never happened. Just think about that for a second. I have an image of 1/3 here. It means 1 in every 3 Americans were open to the idea that the Holocaust never happened. That seems like a lot, right? Turns out that it was. So, what happened? Well, the survey was conducted by a polling company on behalf of the American Jewish Committee. So you can imagine that the people who run the American Jewish Committee were a little bit shocked by these results. But it turns out they had worded the question about Holocaust denial pretty poorly. So here was the question. It said, does it seem possible or does it seem impossible to you that the Nazi extermination of the Jews never happened? Based on this question, 22% of respondents said that it was possible that the Holocaust never happened, and an additional 12% said they didn't know. So let's take a look at this question. Does it seem possible or does it seem impossible to you that the Nazi extermination of the Jews never happened? What's wrong with this question? First of all, it's worded in a really complicated way. The person responding to the survey would have to decipher various clauses and parts of the question that are quite confusing. Also, they have to grapple with a double negative. Does it seem impossible? And then never happened at the end. Creates a double negative, and it's going to completely confuse the person answering this survey question. So the results in the end cannot possibly be accurate if half the people taking the survey probably don't know what they're actually reading. So in 1994, 2 years later, Gallup polls wanted to test the reliability of this survey, and they created a new one. They said, do you doubt that the Holocaust actually happened or not? This time, only 9% expressed doubt and 4% were unsure. If you think about the political makeup of our country today, I think that this is probably more in line with reality. So, that poorly worded question significantly skewed the results of the survey, and it scared a lot of people in the process. It's scary to think that maybe a third of people don't believe in this major historical event, right? But that poorly worded question created the sense that that's what was going on in America. So, by designing a poor survey, they got really poor results and they scared a lot of people. So, how do we design an accurate survey? We are going to follow 4 important steps for designing an accurate survey. First of all, we are going to develop a research question. That's just determining the question that you want to answer through the course of the survey. Then we're going to hypothesize, which means that we're going to develop multiple hypotheses about the results. We're going to create some questions that will kind of test our hypothesis. And then finally, and this is a very important step, we are going to revise for accuracy. We are going to double and triple check our questions for simplicity and accuracy to make sure that the people who are taking our survey actually understand what they are answering. So, first is about developing a research question. This is where we decide what it is that we want to know. Like any investigation, every survey begins with curiosity. So, what is it that you are curious about? What do you want to learn? What do you think is important? Your research question should not only include the type of information you want to know, but also the audience you want to get it from. So, I have an example here. How do students feel about mint chocolate chip ice cream? If we take that question apart, we have both the audience or the respondents of our question, the students, as well as the subject of our question, the mint chocolate chip ice cream. Okay, so we have to make sure that our research question is narrowed down to not only a specific topic, but also a specific audience. So that is step one of creating an accurate survey. We are developing the research question. Then we are going to hypothesize about the results that we expect to see. This is when we determine what we expect to see from the results. I have a few hypotheses about mint chocolate chip ice cream here. I might believe that more female identifying students will like mint chocolate chip ice cream than male identifying students. I can't explain to you why I hypothesize that, but it's a hypothesis that I have. Next, I hypothesize maybe that students who drink soda daily will not like mint chocolate chip ice cream. I actually have a reason for this. I think that students who drink soda daily consume a lot of sugar, and therefore the mint chocolate chip ice cream will not be a flavor that they appreciate because it mixes both of those like light and dark flavors, the mint being a light flavor and the chocolate being a dark flavor. So I am hypothesizing that people who drink soda daily will not like mint chocolate chip ice cream. And then finally, I'm predicting that older students might be more likely to say that they don't like ice cream at all. You may have other hypotheses about students' like or dislike of mint chocolate chip ice cream. These are just some of mine. All right. So these are my hypotheses. In general, your hypotheses should be based on the purpose of your overall investigation. When we think about mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's probably not going to be part of a bigger investigation. It's just something we might be curious about. But let's say that we were conducting an investigation into whether 5 minutes of passing time is actually enough for students to make it to class. Okay. I might hypothesize that students who carry backpacks find it easier to get to class on time than students who use their lockers, right? Because stopping at a locker takes extra time, and maybe those backpacks make it a little bit easier. Or I might hypothesize that students who are involved in more clubs and activities struggle to make it to class in the 5 minute passing time because they have lots of places to stop on the way from one class to another, where they need to take care of different things. So I think that that is a hypothesis that I might have, right? Then we're going to take our hypotheses and we are going to create our survey questions based on those hypotheses. And this is where we have to think about how are we going to get our respondents to our survey to answer our survey accurately. So the questions you create should be based on your hypotheses. If my hypothesis is that more female identifying students will like mint chocolate chip ice cream than male identifying students, then I know I need a question about preferred pronouns in my survey, right? I have to be able to like cross reference that question about preferred pronouns with the question about whether or not they like mint chocolate chip ice cream. If my hypothesis is that older students will be more likely to say that they do not like ice cream at all, then I know I need a question about age as well as a question about liking any form of ice cream. And actually, rather than a question all by itself, I would probably turn that into an option on the question about whether someone likes mint chocolate chip ice cream, right? One of the options may be, I don't like ice cream at all. The last thing that we're going to do when we are designing our survey is we are going to revise for accuracy. And this is going to require some collaboration, some friendship. Okay. So, when we create something ourselves, whether it is a story, a poem, a movie, an article, etc., whatever we create, it is difficult for us to see the problems with it because we're so close to it. The same goes for a survey that we create. The company who created the Holocaust survey had been around for years when it made its huge mistake that scared so many people. So, after you have created the questions for your survey, you're going to go ahead and show your survey to a friend. You want to ask them, is there anything confusing in here? Any confusing wording? Anything I've left out that I should have been asking, but I didn't? Is there anything where you felt pushed to answer a certain way? Because we don't want to create questions that are going to push our audience to answer one way or the other, right? A second pair of eyes on your survey is extremely valuable. So, those are our 4 steps. We've got the development of a research question, a hypothesis, the development of our survey questions, and then finally our revision, which is where we're going to show our survey to a friend and ask them what they think of the different parts of it. All right, that is the end of this lesson. What I'd like for you to go ahead and do is develop your own research question. What is it that you are curious about, and how are you going to find answers that will get you closer to understanding it? Have a great day.